Tonight, Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs hit a legal wall. What's behind the Supreme Court's blockbuster decision to strike down a list of duties?
I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed.
How the U.S. president is punching back, plus the potential impact on Canada. Extraterrestrial expose.
Well, a lot of UFO fans are really excited that this is it. This is what we've been waiting for.
Why the U.S. government is getting set to release its files on aliens. And a Canadian bodybuilder breaking barriers.
I just want to be with my family.
How one young man is showing the world what perseverance looks like.
CTV National News with Heather Butts. Reporting tonight, Marcia McMillan.
Good evening. The U.S. president's economic agenda receiving a major blow today from the Supreme Court, the highest court in America striking down Donald Trump's global tariffs. But a defiant Trump quickly declaring he's imposing a new 10% tariff. The U.S. president making it official tonight, posting to Truth Social, "It is my great honor to have just signed from the Oval Office a global 10% tariff on all countries, which will be effective almost immediately." Despite that executive order, the Supreme Court's ruling will be a seismic one. CTV's Abigail Beeman now with more on the ruling and what it could mean for Canada.
I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed.
The American president said he's deeply disappointed in the U.S. Supreme Court decision. It struck down so-called fentanyl tariffs, ruling Trump exceeded his authority by using the Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose them. Trump then announced new tariffs.
Today I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122.
President Trump has famously said his favorite word is tariff. And so I don't think they're going to simply walk away.
But for Canada, while not entirely clear yet, it appears like status quo.
Just basically trying to find a new mechanism to let him do the very same thing that he was trying to achieve.
The White House says goods under the CUSMA free trade deal, that's the majority of our trade, as well as under Section 232, the punishing steel, aluminum, and auto tariffs still in place, won't be hit by an extra 10%. There is still a big issue around handling refunds for now defunct tariffs, as much as $240 billion worth, not detailed in the ruling.
Unraveling that and securing refunds is going to be messy, but that's certainly going to be a key issue that Canadian businesses are going to be focused on.
While BC's premier is optimistic about what the decision could mean for his province's softwood lumber industry.
This court decision does open the door to a potential challenge related to the softwood national security tariffs.
The big focus remains what happens to CUSMA, up for review this summer.
I think it is more likely that he's actually going to engage on CUSMA than attempt to burn it to the ground.
Let's be confident. And yes, we've taken it on the chin, but we've held up beautifully. And we're going to need to solve some problems over the next 5 months.
The lead minister on the Canada-U.S. file said in a statement the court decision reinforces Canada's position that the tariffs are unjustified, but, quote, critical work lies ahead to fight for businesses still impacted by tariffs on steel, aluminum, and autos. Marcia?
Abigail, thank you. Let's bring in CTV's chief political correspondent, Vashi Kapellas, now for more insight on today's big decision and the rejection of Trump's trade policy. Vashi, what impact could the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling have on Canada's trade negotiations down the road?
Hi, Marcia. It's a really significant question, right? Because while certain sectoral tariffs or even category of tariffs are important, what's really significant for Canada over the next year is going to be this review of CUSMA. Right now, CUSMA still covers about 85% of what we trade with the United States, and that's largely insulated big swaths of our economy. So with that at stake, the question is really, as you put it, how does this impact those negotiations? And you've got to think to some degree it weakens Trump's position and strengthens Canada's. And there's one one key thing I'm looking at in that vein for how this all materializes, what happens in Congress? Because this Supreme Court decision really did say that Congress needs to be consulted and needs to endorse ultimately these types of tariffs. So does Congress feel emboldened? And maybe more specifically, do Republican Congresspeople feel more emboldened to push back against Trump? And ultimately, could that further embolden Canada's case during this review of CUSMA? Marcia?
Vashi, thank you. Stock markets got a boost after the Supreme Court struck down Trump's global tariffs. The S&P 500 rose almost 48 points. The Dow Jones climbed 230. The TSX gained more than 220 points. Investors welcome the relief, but uncertainty remains as trade policy could shift again. As we mentioned earlier, Trump's tariffs on some key Canadian sectors, including steel and aluminum, remain in place despite today's decision. CTV's Adrian Gabriel is tracking that part of the story.
Sitting idle, Canada's auto assembly industry knows full well the toll of President Donald Trump's trade tactics, as does the country's steel and aluminum sectors, railroaded by punishing tariffs. Today's Supreme Court ruling brings little reprieve.
Our members have been on the front lines of this trade war because they work in all the sectors that Trump is coming after: the auto sector, the steel sector, the aluminum sector, the lumber sector.
Sectoral tariffs remain in place for each of those Canadian industries under President Trump's so-called national security tariffs. Trump has multiple levers he can still pull to apply additional trade pressure north of the border.
We expect him to explore a whole range of other options. Those include introducing new legislation to give himself new presidential powers that both President Trump but future administrations would wield.
While bracing for a blunt response from the Trump administration, Unifor's president notes that U.S. trade policy isn't just hurting Canadian industry.
They're having an impact on U.S. workers and U.S. industry. The manufacturing footprint in the U.S. is actually declining.
Speaking at Harvard this week, the president of Canada's Auto Parts Manufacturers Association believes the door has been opened to fight the tariffs still hammering Canada's economy.
It's really important to see that the Supreme Court will rule against the president, even when he overreaches. I think that's an important victory for the rule of law.
Those we spoke with today say it's also important to remain focused on upcoming CUSMA negotiations. The consensus, the clearest path towards keeping Canada's economy afloat, a new free trade deal with our largest trading partner. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Tariffs not the only thing on the president's mind today, however, as he laid out a warning to Iran.
They better negotiate a fair deal.
Trump's warning comes as the U.S. military continues to build up military assets in the region, like these jets in the Azores, in preparation for a potential strike. The U.S. president has already given Iran a 10 to 15-day deadline to reach a resolution on its nuclear program. A major comeback in Milan, including a last-minute goal, has propelled Canada's men's hockey team to the gold medal game. Finland jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the Olympic semifinal, but in the third period, Canada finally tied it on a goal from Shea Theodore, and with just 35 seconds left, Nathan McKinnon blasted in a power play goal to win the game and keep the gold medal dream alive. Canadian fans were on the edge of their seats here at home and half a world away at the Olympic Games. CTV's Heather Butts caught up with some of them in Milan to share their jubilation at the big win.
Another emotional night for Canadian hockey fans here in Italy with a game many said was far too tight for too long. At this bar here in Milan, a popular place for Canadians to come and watch hockey and celebrate together. Tonight there is jubilation that Canada's men's hockey team will play in the gold medal game.
The first year is so stressful, like just being down, and then all of a sudden Canada put all the energy in and just crushed it right to the bitter end.
Let's go, Canada! Let's go!
As you get closer to the finals, these teams are just way too strong. So, and it doesn't matter what team it is. It's unbelievable, man. They're good hockey.
I'd like to be at the game today, but a close second is this. I mean, a couple hundred Canadians, just crazy. This is how it should be at the Olympics.
We're
just a family that just enjoys hockey in general, and this was just amazing opportunity to be here in Milan with my kids.
There is so much joy and excitement here tonight. New friendships formed over sport. And those who don't have tickets tell me they will be back here to cheer on their team in the gold medal game on Sunday. Heather Butts, CTV News, Milan, Italy.
And Canada will face arch rivals Team USA in the gold medal game after the Americans beat Slovakia 6-2 this afternoon. It will be a rematch of the intense Four Nations final exactly 1 year ago today. And you might remember, Canada won that one. And more medals for Canada today. Valerie Malte skated to a bronze in the 1,500-meter long track, her third medal at Milano Cortina. And Canada also won bronze in a freestyle skiing event. Brendan McKay got himself on the podium on the very last run of the men's halfpipe final. The 28-year-old finished 9th at the last Olympics. Alberta's premier speaking out today about her plan to launch a referendum this fall, focusing on several questions. One of the most controversial revolves around immigration. CTV's Jeremy Thompson digs into what Smith is saying about her immigration concerns and whether she has the data to back them up.
Temporary individuals should be treated as that, temporary, and tourists.
Premier Danielle Smith says she's responding to Albertans, putting 5 immigration-related questions to referendum in October.
What we're concerned about is the number of low-skill temporary foreign workers, international students, and asylum seekers who may not be here on a permanent basis and able to be long-term permanent taxpayers.
Smith says that puts undue pressure on Alberta's social services, including education and health care. That's costing the government money ahead of a budget that's expected to run a deficit. When asked to quantify the burden in dollars, the premier could only provide averages.
So bottom line expense, what's your number for health and education?
It's tough to know. I mean, we'd have to do the figuring out. We don't have an individual. No, we don't track residents and how much they use. All I can give you is averages about what things cost.
Premier Smith says the Trudeau government's immigration policy is to blame.
They were managing it properly up until we got to COVID, and then post-COVID, it went completely off the rails with a completely insane policy.
Government data shows immigration to Alberta peaked in 2023 and has since returned to average levels. In early 2024, the premier was calling for more people to come to our province.
The fact that so many people have come to our province, I look at that as a positive, and we want to keep that going. That's why I've said, let's have an aggressive target to double our population.
It seems to be that this is more about politics than it is about policy.
This immigration lawyer believes the federal effort to reduce overall immigration is the correct path, and it will take years to see the results. He adds healthcare costs for refugees and asylum seekers are covered by Ottawa.
But I think this is more about distraction from mismanagement. I don't think you can blame newcomers for the fact that we haven't built a hospital in Edmonton since 1988.
Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
A day after the former Prince Andrew's stunning arrest, police are still searching his Royal Lodge home and are expected to stay there until Monday. Andrew spent 11 hours in custody. He remains under investigation on suspicion of misconduct in public office in relation to private information allegedly shared with Jeffrey Epstein. Coming up.
Throwing up. Your eyeballs feel like they're ripping out of your head.
Vacation nightmare, what a Mexican resort allegedly told travelers to do when they got sick and asked for help. An update now on a story we first told you about last night. More travelers coming forward with stories of falling violently ill at a Mexican resort and what the resort wanted from them in exchange for medical care. Here's CTV's John Woodward with the latest.
Several fire trucks and ambulances lined up at Pearson Airport's Terminal 3 Thursday night called for 7 patients sick on a WestJet flight back from Cancun. No one went to hospital that night, but it may not be the only case.
You're cramping, throwing up. Your eyeballs feel like they're ripping out of your head. It's the worst feeling. I mean, I'll be honest with you, we've had COVID. This was worse than COVID for us.
Neil Matheson was on a flight back from Cancun the day before. He says he passed out on the WestJet flight home, his 19-month-old son now undergoing tests.
For me, I'm an adult. We could handle with kids and stuff. You messing with my kids, I don't like that stuff.
He and his family stayed at the Royalton Splash Riviera, a common thread among many vacationers who reached out to CTV News after our first story about many people in that hotel getting sick with norovirus or E. coli, several so serious they were hospitalized.
This is a terrifying experience.
Christina Wishlow's family went in December. She says they got sick too, and in a dispute with the hotel following that, she was presented with a contract that says she shall not directly or indirectly disclose the incident or any other perceived negative experience relating to the incident to anyone in any way, saying it is the intention of the parties to avoid and prevent publicity. The payment, 20,000 Marriott Bonvoy points, or about $200 Canadian.
Clearly, they're not trying to fix the problem, they're just trying to hide it.
Matheson said he was presented with a similar contract in exchange for a free doctor's visit that would have otherwise cost them $900. He didn't sign it.
We're humans. We have kids, families, and lives. And, you're trying to silence what's going on here.
No Canadian court would uphold a contract like that, says this tourism professor.
You need a doctor. Sign this NDA before you can go to the doctor. That's never going to be enforceable.
No one from WestJet, Royalton Splash Cancun, or the Marriott hotel chain returned our emails, but hotel guests say they'll talk about what happened, contract or not. Public health officials here say there's no broader risk to the Canadian public, and many travelers, doctors are telling them they believe it's the food that got them sick. John Woodward, CTV News.
Still ahead. The truth is out there, or it will be soon. What's motivating Donald Trump to release America's files on UFOs? Excitement is sky high for UFO enthusiasts. The U.S. president says he'll order the Pentagon to unveil secret files on flying saucers, UAPs, and aliens, following comments from Barack Obama on life beyond Earth. CTV's John Venevali-Rao explains.
My gosh. American Navy pilots have spotted them. Strange objects flying in unusual ways. But now the U.S. president vowing to release whatever his government knows about UFOs and aliens. But is Donald Trump a believer?
I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it.
Trump directing America's Department of War and other agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life. That includes UFOs, which these days are called unidentified aerial phenomena.
A lot of UFO fans are really excited that this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. This is Christmas. We're going to be getting all the files.
There's some. It all comes after former U.S. President Barack Obama appeared on a podcast and offered a surprising answer to this question.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51.
His statement that they're real led to so much buzz online, Obama later clarified, writing, "Statistically, the universe is so vast that the odds are good there's life out there," adding, "I saw no evidence during my presidency that extraterrestrials have made contact with us, really." Still, Trump accused Obama of revealing classified information. In 2024, the U.S. Pentagon said there was no evidence alien life had ever been encountered, but added there were sightings that needed further investigation. Still, of Trump's latest directive, some think he's just using it to deflect attention.
Some people had said already that this was going to be a distraction from some other files that he doesn't want to release. So maybe we'll get something, but I'm not holding my breath quite yet.
Meanwhile, Trump did not set any kind of a deadline for the release of information. John Venevali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Still ahead, lift and uplift. Meet an inspiring young man who's proving there's no load too heavy for him in tonight's Assignment Canada. Finally tonight, a new edition of Assignment Canada with Omar Sachedina. He brings us an inspiring story of a young Ontario man who has defied the odds ever since he was born, building a life and gaining thousands of fans along the way.
Take one look at Kyle Landy, and it's obvious the 25-year-old bodybuilder is in great shape. The work he's put into his physique is also getting noticed by his million-plus social media followers. Impressive by any standard. But especially for Kyle, because he has Down syndrome, a condition that has fortified his spirit in a way no gym ever could.
From the day he was born, I always thought he was going to be a superstar.
Yeah, I just want to be rich and famous.
Rich and famous, like some of his celebrity workout buddies. Here he is with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That was fantastic. Good to train with you again.
Kyle is already showing the world there's no stopping him. A certified personal trainer, he is also an entrepreneur who's launched an app to help others reach their fitness goals. His mother, Kim, says teaching him independence has been key, even for routine tasks like making his own bed and preparing his own protein shakes.
Thank you. I would always put him in mainstream everything, mainstream dance, mainstream gymnastics, mainstream karate, because we all need to level up, right? When you see other people.
My beautiful mother.
That fierce maternal determination could be a response to how hospital staff made her feel about Kyle when he entered the world.
When he was born, they made it sound, instead of congratulations, it turned into a very mournful event.
And took away from the joy of having a child come into the world.
It took completely away the joy. What I didn't know back then was how amazing everything was going to turn out to be.
Not only because of what Kyle has conquered, but because of what he's helping others too.
Hug a tree and stay big.
Like his coach and stepdad, Joe.
Good set, man, good.
A former police officer who suffers from PTSD, anxiety, and depression.
Kyle just inspired me more than anybody else could ever even imagine, because this man has single-handedly helped save my life, literally.
Inspiration his friends at the gym also feel.
What's the best part about him?
For me, it is, well, he's the kindest person ever. He makes the gym look easy.
Don't ever pity him, because he's the happiest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Happy and clearly quite generous.
You gonna train Omar?
Yeah, please. I need some help.
Yeah, I do for free.
Proving that no matter how much he lifts, his biggest lift may just be in how he's changing the lives of those around him.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thanks for making a difference.
I know. Right?
Omar Sachedina, CTV News, Burlington, Ontario.
If you have a story idea for Omar and the Assignment Canada team, we'd love to hear from you. Just email assignmentcanada@bellmedia.ca. That is our newscast for this Friday. I'm Marcia McMillan. From all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. Good night.